Okay, if you missed the Google Meet today, here's your directions for the first assignment that we're doing for Westward Expansion. You should have already watched the Story of Us video called Westward to learn a little bit about Daniel Boone, Lewis and Clark, the different land that we acquired, some of the travelers that moved west. So that should already be finished. If it isn't, you need to go and watch that video in Edpuzzle first and then come back for these directions. What you're creating first to go with this entire unit is a map project that is a layered thematic map. Layer means you put information on top of more information on top of more information in layers. And thematic means there's a theme for our map. And I'm going to show you what that is in just a second. So each map shows different information. We are going to have territories that the U.S. gained, different areas of land, the Native American tribes, the routes of explorers, and then different trails that people migrated on to get to the western part of the U.S. So there is a link right here to resource maps for you to use to find the things you need for your maps. So this will link you right up to those maps if you click it. And it does say at the very top here, at the very beginning, when you first make a copy of this, you need to click share and share it with me. I cannot help you with your map if I can't look at it. So if you're having any problems with it, it won't open, it won't share, I can't turn it in, I lost a slide. This way I can look at your map. I can look at your slides. If you don't share it with me, I have very little way of helping you. So make sure you do that right away. Now it says slide 2 is your map. So when you click yours, the very next slide you see is going to be the map that you're making. So first, let me show you what a layered thematic map is. So we're going to start with a map of the US that has some states and some rivers and things on it. And we're going to first put the names of the different territories that we acquired, like Florida and Texas and Louisiana. The word cession is kind of like an addition. We ceded it, we got it, we added it to our country. And the annexation of Texas, we annexed it, we made it part of our country. Okay, so that's what those words mean. So we're going to be adding these first. Then we're going to be adding names of different Native American tribes. So a lot of these that you see on here will be on your map. For example, the Mandan, the Cheyenne, the Shoshone. You'll have the Cherokee, the Shawnee, the Creek, the Seminole. Those will be on your map as well. So that'll be the next layer. On top of that, we'll be layering the routes of Lewis and Clark, Daniel Boone, Pike will be there, Jed Smith will be there, and their routes will go on top of all this information. So we'll be able to see what areas were explored by Lewis and Clark, what Native American tribes they encountered, the different landforms they would have seen, those kinds of things. With Pike, we're going to get to see where he explored in the U.S., which territories he was in, who those territories belonged to, and so on. So that's the point of a layered thematic map. You cannot create different maps for all of these. They have to go on the same one to be layered. So your map starts out just like this. Not a whole lot here, just some names of states and some rivers in there that luckily you won't have to label because they're already there for you. And we're going to first be following the directions for putting things like your title, the author, things like that. Okay. Now, this is going to be your key here, and I'm finding that a lot of people don't know what goes in a key. So you're going to be looking for the route that Daniel Boone took, which if you've paid attention, you know is somewhere in here around the Cumberland Gap and into the state of Kentucky. You're going to choose a color to make a line to show his route with. So maybe it's going to be green or purple or something like that. Do not make his route blue. For obvious reasons, take a look at the symbol used for rivers on this map. Rivers are blue lines. If you make Daniel Boone's route a blue line, you just turned his route into a river. Okay, the Wilderness Road was not a river. So we have to choose something that isn't already used on the map. You also can't use the same color for Boone's Route that you would use for Pike or for Smith or the Santa Fe Trail, for example. They all have to be different colors, but they're definitely going to be lines because that makes the most sense when you're showing a trail or a route. Okay, now, I will show you that in a moment. When you get to the slide right after, it says these are the map requirements. It's supposed to spell out totals with an extra S. Okay, kind of a silly abbreviation for these things, but that's all right. That's officially what it is for geographers. So we're going to go ahead and use it. What it stands for is title, orientation, date, author, legend, source, and scale. Those are things that every official map should have. So you are going to want to give your map a title related to westward expansion. You could just call it the U.S. expands west or something like that. Don't name it after yourself. That's not what your map is about. Okay, so give it a name, the U.S. Expansion or the U.S. Expanding through the 1800s or something like that. Okay, or just expansion. Okay, whatever you want to call it. Then you are going to draw a compass rose. Orientation has to do with the directions north, south, east, and west. There is a box already in the map that's perfect for putting that in, which would be right about here above your key. That is the perfect place to put this compass rose. You're going to need the date that your map was completed. So you're not putting today's date, you're putting the date that you complete your map. The author is you. That would be your name as author. A legend is the same thing as a key. We already have a key on there. Just make sure you don't put anything extra in your key. Nothing gets added in there. It is already neat and organized and contains everything you need in it. So no additional things put in your key. Okay, the source. I've given this to you, Mrs. Bryan's U.S. Studies Reference Maps. That is your source. Okay, there's a scale of distance already on the map, so that saves you a little bit of trouble. And then all of the information, as I said before, has to go on the same map. So please don't make separate maps for everything you're drawing. Don't make copies of that map so you have 3 or 4 different ones all on the same map. That's how it has to be. Okay, once those are on there, if you get this far, you're going to be taking these and copying them onto your map. So I'm going to go out of present mode to show how easy this is. Here's what I would do. I would move this slide closer to my map, and I want to put Oregon country where it belongs on my map. So you could copy it with a Control C, come back to the map, Control V is paste, and it almost landed right where it's supposed to go. Oregon country right here. I'm going to try to get it inside the box. It should fit. And I have my first one labeled. And that's it. That's what I'm going to do to label those regions. Okay, so there are your directions for the first day or so. You may not get this far in the hour, and that is okay, especially if you have to go back and watch the other video. But we're going to work on this, and then tomorrow, the next part of the map is to take the names of these Native American tribes and put them on your own map. So I need the Crow. I can actually copy and paste or cut and paste. And if you come back over here, where are the Crow? If you remember, Jedediah Smith got help from the Crow right in here. So where is that? This is Montana. Here's Minnesota. The Dakotas would be right next to us. That helps you figure out right about where you should put the Crow on your map. Okay, Shawnee. We have to locate these and then figure out where they belong. Here's the Shawnee, just north of Kentucky in here, just between Kentucky and Iowa on that border. The Sioux, we don't usually say Sioux, but the map still refers to them that way here, but we know that that's in the Dakotas, the Dakota Sioux. The Cree, are not the same as the Creek. This is Creek down here. We need to find Cree, which is going to be way up here towards the Montana and the Dakotas area right in here. Okay, so that's what you do. Copy these, paste them onto your own map. And again, if it's easier, just drag the slide closer to the map so they're right next to each other. And then it's maybe a little bit easier to go back and forth. Okay, so this is going to be the next 2 days, is putting first these on your map to show where the different territories were, and then these Native American tribes in this list right here. Okay, back on this map. All right, so good luck. And now that you have all the directions, let me know back in the Google Meet if you have questions, or you can message me through GoGuardian.